He's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend, he's the scientist with all the answers and all the questions. It's time for another episode of Alex's Science Corner.
Don't touch me there!
Boy, this is going to throw people off a lot. The theme music all screwed up.
Alex?
Although, strangely enough, it's incredibly ironic that is the music that came on.
What's going on in the wide, wide world of science, my friend?
Well, we got a bunch of space news, and the first two involve Jupiter. And astronomers are beginning to figure out when Jupiter formed in our solar system. They've been doing a bunch of studying of asteroids, and what they're figuring is that Jupiter came about a million years after our solar system started to form. Now, how are they getting this, or how are they figuring this out? They're studying the asteroids that are closer to the sun than Jupiter, and the asteroids that are farther out from the sun than Jupiter. And if the planetary disk of material started to coalesce and start to form stuff, about a million years after the disk started to form, the groups of asteroids separated out. So there's something massive that was separating the asteroids that were closer to the sun than Jupiter and the asteroids that were farther out from the sun than Jupiter. And so about a million years ago, they're figuring Jupiter started to form. And I've lost Darnell because he's completely out of it right now. Now, one of the other things that happened...
Press on.
No problem. One of the other things that happened during the study and information that they're getting from the Junior probe, there are two theories as to how Jupiter may have formed. The first way is that stuff started to accumulate, started to create a lump of material, and stuff started to come together through that lump of material, and it started to build up from the ground up. The other theory is that there was something that kicked a lot of the gases and dust together, and so the Jupiter kind of formed up as a giant gas giant, but came together from the outside in. If it came from the outside in, there should be no core, or very, very small core. If Jupiter formed from the inside out, it should have a very large solid core. Well, information from the Juno probe is saying that Jupiter has a core, but it's a soft and squishy core. And so what that means is they don't know which of those two methods formed Jupiter.
So it's caramel filling.
Yeah. Jupiter is filled with a caramel sauce inside, yes.
Isn't the Earth, though, got a soft, molten
it's
center?
molten, but it's not soft. It's iron and heavy metals that make up our core. So it's the reason you can kind of say it's soft is because it's under such high pressure and heat that it's kind of liquefying under that pressure and heat. But we have an iron core. That's one of the reasons why we have such a strong magnetic field around us, is because we've got a liquid iron core. So this is one of those interesting things about Jupiter, is that the two competing theories that they're hoping to answer with the Juno probe, it's still not answered because the information is right in between the two possible theories. So that makes it a lot more interesting. Do you have a question, Darnell?
No, I was just going to ask. So they're probing Jupiter to see all this stuff. Are they going to probe Uranus?
Dum-dum. Hey, you knew that was coming. We knew that was coming.
We've been expecting that question for the past hour. So one of the other side effects of the Juno probe is that they've also upped the number of moons that Jupiter has. So they're now giving Jupiter 69 moons.
Wow.
69?
When did it get that high?
Huh? Well, a lot of the moons are smaller. Now, there are four
Are they clearly moons, or are they just debris?
they're moons. They kind of rate anything that's a kilometer or longer to be a moon. And so Jupiter has a lot. Now, the interesting thing about that is the closest 15 moons of Jupiter orbit in the direction that Jupiter is spinning. The other moons of Jupiter orbit in the opposite direction that Jupiter is spinning. So they're figuring the first 15 moons, or the larger 15 moons, were part of the formation of Jupiter, but the other moons were captured and got into orbit of Jupiter after Jupiter was formed.
I got a moon. It's a dark hole.
Okay, story number 2.
What's the next?
Story
my
number 2.
elementary teaching certificate that I got is really being put to the stretch here right now.
You should be used to this.
Yeah, I know. It's like, boy, I've dealt with like 15-year-olds, and they're not this bad.
No, but are the 12s?
Story number 2.
Well, that was actually number 2 about the moon. Story number 3.
3.
A year from today.
No, 5.
Or a year or a month from today, they are planning on launching the Parker Solar Probe. And what this probe is, it's going to be a satellite that's going to go into very close orbit of the sun. It's going to come within about 2 to 3 solar radii from the sun. This is the closest satellite that we'll ever have that we'll have to the sun, and it's actually going to be entering part of the sun's atmosphere. Now, people may think that the sun doesn't have an atmosphere or is an atmosphere, what's going on. The sun actually does have an atmosphere. It's called the corona. Now, the interesting thing about the sun's corona is the sun's corona, or the atmosphere around the sun, is much, much hotter than the sun itself. I know, shock silence. I know, and that's why researchers want to send a satellite into that orbit to see if they can figure out why that's happening.
How do they know this?
It's a lot of measurement over time. We've got a couple different satellites that measure this, like the SOHO and stereo satellites that do regular observations of the sun.
Okay. How do they keep this satellite from burning up?
Well, it's going to have a lot of shielding, but it's only going to have shielding on one side because you only have to have the side that's facing the sun shielded. But they have to be able to have certain instruments come out. So they're going to be able to shift the satellite a little bit so that they can have certain instruments take measurements around the sun as it's going around. It's only going to come close to the sun for about 10 days out of its orbit, and then it's going to come back out, and it's actually going to stretch out so that the outer part of its orbit is going to come into the distance that Venus is from the sun, and then it's going to swoop back down. And when it comes back out, it's going to send the data it got back to Earth, and then it's going to start its downward orbit back into the sun again.
How many times is it going to go around the sun like that?
They're hoping at least 20 times, but obviously this is the closest that they've ever sent a satellite to the sun, so they want to try and get as much as they can. They're hoping for about at least 20. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm biting my tongue.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and one last thing is in 2 months, August 21st, we are going to have a solar eclipse of the sun happen over the United States. Now here in Connecticut, it's not going to be a total eclipse. We're going to only get a partial eclipse.
Total eclipse of my heart.
And on August 21st, it's going to start here around, let me see, get the time here. Around 1 o'clock, it's going to start. Around 2:45 or so, it's going to be reaching its best coverage, and then it should end by about 4 o'clock. We're not going to get a total eclipse here. We're going to get a very partial eclipse. If you do want to observe it, please go online and look up how to look at the eclipse because
The
you do not
24th?
21st.
21st. That's a Monday.
Yes.
All right, we will keep you informed as August approaches.
Yep.
All right, if you have any other questions about this story or any other stories Alex has presented this morning, or if you have some other science-related questions, feel free to call him right now at 203
837.
99.
2-4.